Good morning, everybody. Can we please take our seats? Ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. Before we start our session, as usual, the Bureau met just now and discussed the organization of our work for today. I'm sure that you realize that we are behind schedule. And at this point, I feel duty-bound to draw your urgent attention to the serious risk we are facing. As the remaining agenda items are crucial for the committee to be able to function next year. These items are, among others, establishment of the evaluation body for the 2019 cycle. Item 15, to consider the number of files submitted for the year 2018 and 2019, and number of files that can be treated in 2020 and 2021 cycles. We have to finalize the date and venue of the 14th session, elect the Bureau of the 14th session of the committee, and also adopt a list of decisions. Let me suggest how to proceed today. We will have, of course, to come back to item 13.10 and to adopt the draft decision. Over the past days, we spent a lot of time discussing this item, and through this discussion, most committee members took the floor, and the main lines and needs concerning the nomination process became evident. Therefore, and in light of the limited time at our disposal, my suggestion is to go direct to the adoption of the draft decision. Hopefully, if you keep your intervention short and to the point, for the rest of the morning, we will be able to complete the examination of items 14 to 16. And may I also inform you that at the Bureau meeting, we wanted to see how we can move as quickly as possible. And I'm grateful and wish to share with all of you that we are most grateful to the interpreters who have agreed that we have a shorter lunch break. Instead of having 1 hour lunch break, yes, instead of 2 hours lunch break, we are going to have only 1 hour lunch break, which means that we are going to stop at 12:30 and resume at 1:30 p.m. Is there any objection to this short lunch break? Thank you for your understanding, which means that our afternoon session will start at 13:30 hours, and which means that in any event, we should finish our business of the day at 16:30 hours, 4:30 p.m. instead of 5:30 p.m. I hope that this also the members won't mind that we finish a bit earlier. Our intention is to complete examination of items 14 to 16 in the morning, and in the afternoon to complete the rest of the items. And just in case we feel that we are running out of time, we will not be examining item 17, follow-up on the implementation of the relevant recommendations of the open-ended working group. Yes, Philippine, you want to intervene at this juncture?
Yes, Mr. Chairperson. As we mentioned in the Bureau, we hope that we have enough time to discuss this item 17. We'd like to discuss this item 17 if there's time during our committee session, and we don't believe that it'll take very long, so it could be a very speedy adoption of that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us see how we proceed. Under other business, we have an issue which Palestine raised, and the committee member promised that he is going to be very, very brief on that issue. Concerning item 21, the committee has to adopt the list of all decisions adopted up to the lunch break. And what we suggest is that the committee delegates to its rapporteur the responsibility to validate the rest of the decisions. And in the interest of time, I propose that we delegate to the rapporteur the responsibility to validate all the decisions instead. This is another means by which we can also save a lot of time. For the sake of transparency, the Secretariat will be still distributing the decisions adopted to that time during lunch break. My understanding is that the Secretariat will publish the decision in the final version by the end of the year. Thank you for your kind attention and understanding. And with your permission, let us move straight away to item 10, where, no, 13 come 10, and where we were yesterday. I understand that there were 3 members who wanted to intervene when we left yesterday. There was Senegal, Cuba, and Colombia, if I'm not mistaken. I wish to ascertain whether Senegal, Cuba, and Colombia wish to take the floor now under this item. Okay, thank you for the 3 members for your understanding. Can we now show the draft decisions, please? We are going to have the draft decision on the screens. Draft decision 13, com 10. to adopt as a whole draft decision 13-10. Do we have amendments on that? I believe that there are amendments which have been proposed on that. Yes, Secretary, can you please?
Sorry, we received yesterday evening amendments from 2 states. Perhaps I would ask the BACA team just to scroll through to see where those amendments are, so that everybody's aware. One from Azerbaijan under 11, another from Azerbaijan under 12, another from Azerbaijan under 13. Keep going. One from Philippines, Palestine, Sri Lanka under 15, another one under 16, another one under 17. Please go. Another one under 18, and then 2 new paragraphs from Japan on 18 and 19. Thank you.
Point of order, Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to request that we adopt it paragraph by paragraph. Thank you.
Yes, in fact, I wasn't aware that there were so many proposals for amendments. Is there anybody who wishes to? Okay, we are agreeable that we proceed paragraph by paragraph. Can we start by paragraph 1, please? Are we agreeable to paragraph 1? Adopted. And what about paragraph 2? I see something in red.
This is just an alignment. It's a clerical correction. It's updating.
No issue about paragraph 2. There is no amendment, just an issue, technical issue. Therefore, with your permission and approval, we adopt paragraph 2. No objection, adopted. Paragraph 2 adopted. Paragraph 3. No objection, adopted. Paragraph 4. Adopted. Paragraph 5. Adopted. Paragraph 6. Adopted. Paragraph 7. No objection again. Adopted. Paragraph 8. Adopted. Paragraph 9. Adopted. Paragraph 10. Adopted. We have here an amendment proposed by Azerbaijan. I understand it is to add a paragraph. This is my understanding. Is it so, Mr. Secretary? Yes, in fact, it is to add a new paragraph 11 as proposed by Azerbaijan. Is there any objection to the amendment as proposed by Azerbaijan? No objection. Adopted. The new paragraph 12 now, and with some amendment at the end. I understand that the Secretary wishes to intervene at this juncture.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. This particular amendment poses problem because it is asking for description on how individuals are chosen to represent communities and to give free, prior, informed consent on their behalf. There is no clear directives on which individuals can represent communities. There are many different forms of communities in different parts of the world. Some are represented by individuals, some are represented by groups of individuals, some have different ways of representing. I believe this requested amendment will put us in a bind that we will not be able to implement, because don't think it's because there is no clear definition in any directives telling us how to represent, how to choose individuals to represent their communities, and it is for the communities to decide how they wish to represent themselves.
Yes, Azerbaijan, could you please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Secretary. So Azerbaijan is very much flexible to remove that amendment. Thank you so much.
We are most grateful, Azerbaijan, which means that we are going to remove the amendment to the new paragraph 12. And in that case, can we move to adopt new paragraph 12? No objection, adopted. Move now to the new paragraph 13, where again, this is a new paragraph, I believe. Paragraph 13. Are we agreeable? I see. Yes, Armenia.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Chair, because we see for the first time this amendment. Can you give us just 1-2 minutes to go through it?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes, let us hear Mr. Curtis, please.
This is just to point out that this is the same wording as 10Com 10, that this decision has already been adopted by the committee at its 10th session. It is the same decision, and it's being reiterated in the same way. Secretariat doesn't see the need of it, but it doesn't also change the current status relating to R5. Thank you.
Yes, I have Armenia and Palestine who should
I think that there is a linguistic problem over there. Refers its decision, I think we are referring to a decision, and we are not refers the decision, it's rejecting it somehow. So I think that there is a problem. In French, it's okay. Rappelle aussi sa décision, ça marche. On rappelle, donc refers to. Okay, thank you.
Armenia?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And sir, I would like to ask for the rationale of this paragraph. What actually does it state? I'm very sorry for this information, especially when it says that the information should be considered complementary to the information included in the nomination file. So the explanation of this part. Thank you.
Yes, any explanation on the rationale for including this paragraph 13? Yes, the mover of the adoption could perhaps explain to us the rationale. Azerbaijan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Well, our delegation put this amendment based on the work of the report of the evaluation body. So we are very much flexible. We think that if it's possible, we'd like to keep this amendment as it states.
Yes, Armenia?
If Mr. Curtis says that there is no need to repeat this paragraph at this stage and delegation is flexible, maybe we can omit it because the decision 10 is already there. And I didn't get reply to the meaning of this paragraph in this draft decision. Thank you.
Yes. To know the feelings of the committee, whether yes, Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So we, as I said, very much flexible with this paragraph as well. So we leave it to the committee. If they don't want to adopt it, so it's okay. If they want, it's okay for us. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Azerbaijan. I take it that we leave the. We're not going to include paragraph 13, since it already forms part of a previous decision, and which means that this amendment with the comprehension of Azerbaijan will not be included. Yes, could the Secretariat just make the necessary modification to the draft in the light of same? Okay. Therefore, I believe that the numbering is okay. Are we not removing this paragraph? This is what I understand.
It's been moved. It's out now. It's out.
Okay, okay. And now, what's the purpose now of paragraph 13? What is the amendment? No, I believe that there is an issue. Refers to Azerbaijan, the three words.
Yeah. To fix it, but just
Exactly.
okay. Just now, in English, it's okay. In English, and in 13, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Now go to 13.
Now, are we now ready to adopt paragraph 13 as it appears on your screen? No objection? Adopted. Paragraph 14, please. Yes, please, on the screen, if we could have, I see here. Okay, okay.
Just 1 minute for French. We need to catch up in French.
Philippine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. While the amendment is being transposed into French, just allow us to give some general remarks on this proposal of ours, supported by a number of committee members. First of all, the overall theme of this session here in Mauritius has been dialogue. And it's fitting that it's here in Mauritius, which is a model of interracial, intercultural harmony. As you defined yesterday in our discussions and summed up very eloquently, there is a general consensus to have a dialogue as an upstream mechanism in the evaluation process. The General Assembly has in fact delegated to the committee the need to develop an appropriate dialogue mechanism. This was done at the last General Assembly through its decision 7GA6, paragraph 5. Our proposal takes all of this into account and tries to have a pragmatic approach and remain compatible with the suggested two-step process that was discussed also yesterday, that the reflection procedure would first look at the evaluation and look towards possible amendments for the 2020 General Assembly. So what we're suggesting is that we pilot a dialogue mechanism for next year with a view to coming up with the right amendments to present to the General Assembly in 2020. We also do not think that this proposal in any way contravenes the operational directives nor the will and desire of, first of all, the General Assembly, which already mandated us to do something on dialogue, nor the committee, where all we've been hearing the last 4 or 5 days is the need for dialogue, nor I think the expectations of the many, many communities in the field where our work is necessary. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Philippine. Yes, Palestine.
I think that my colleague from Philippines was very clear. Just to add, how does this proposal doesn't affect the operational directives? Actually, we are not adding any new phase or any new event. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
When I read, Cuba. Yes, Cuba, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. Cuba también desea sumarse a esta enmienda y nos parece que es muy coherente con toda la discusión y el debate en torno a este tema que hemos estado sosteniendo en esta sesión. El colega de Filipinas ha sido muy claro y no repetiré todos los argumentos que él ha dado. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. May I, yes, Chypre.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est pour partager aussi notre accord pour les amendements. Merci.
Colombia.
Gracias, presidente. Apoyamos la enmienda.
May I just request, yes, please, if you bear with me, Lebanon, having read the proposal and recalling what happened yesterday, there were a few members who raised the issue regarding the workload. And I don't know whether this is going to be any issue, and since I'll read in the paragraph 14, I'll ask the Secretariat to respond to the paragraph.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to thank also the Honourable Delegate of Philippines, who indeed highlighted the importance of dialogue from this committee session. And many themes have come out, I think, dialogue and overall reform and rules. But unfortunately, workload is a constant problem, but I don't think the problem here is workload. It will present additional work. The problem is Rule 54. Rule 54, if I may, says that in 30th of June, year 1, deadline by which the Secretariat will have, Rule 55, phase 2, meeting, April to June, meeting for final evaluation by the evaluation body. It means by June, the evaluation body has to have made its final evaluation. So, how that means, according to Rule 55, the evaluation body cannot change its evaluation after June, after the June meeting. So we could apply the procedure, but the evaluation body would not be able to take into account and change its evaluation based on the upstream dialogue. We can test it on an experimental basis, but the point is it will not be able to affect the evaluations made next year if we apply the rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Philippine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, and we thank Mr. Curtis for his response. We take due note of it. However, if you look at that paragraph, Operational Directive 55, yes, it does say April-June meeting for final evaluation of the evaluation body. Yes, that's clearly in black and white. However, where is in this paragraph the September meeting of the evaluation body? Shouldn't that also be in the rule? And if it's not in the rule, why does it take place? So I want to ask then, isn't the practice already in contravention with this Rule 55? But I do not see it. The argument has always been that we have to follow the rule. Where is the September meeting? There's a September meeting in the previous paragraph, 54. However, that only talks about the deadline. So, we want to be constructive, Mr. Chairperson. We hear the political will of all the member states of the General Assembly from the General Assembly to the committee the last 2 years since the debacle in Addis Ababa. Not to say that, meaning to say that there was certain decisions there at that committee where we might have done otherwise, and thus we're in this situation now. So all we're asking for is some flexibility. It is not going against the operational directives.
You made your point.
And that we should go ahead with this process and see what we can come out of it. It's still a provisional measure. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Curtis, Secretary, please.
And perhaps also the evaluation body's members would like to speak. You were asking about the meeting in September. The meeting in September is a meeting where the evaluation body gets together to agree on the contents of the reports. The practice has always been, and I do ask evaluation body members to speak, whether they have ever changed one of the decisions in September. So and again, I think the evaluation body should speak about the process that goes on during the evaluation body. Thank you.
I have already 4 members who wishes to intervene: Cuba, Austria, Palestine, Poland, and okay, Cuba, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. Ayer tuvimos un largo debate sobre el mandato o la competencia de este comité que debería emanar o no, o que debe emanar de lo que estipula la Asamblea. Lo que estamos discutiendo hoy ya ha sido mandatado por la Asamblea. Creo que estaríamos ganando tiempo si llegamos a la Asamblea con una propuesta mucho más concreta. Se nos dice todo el tiempo que tenemos poco tiempo, justamente, y no podemos, porque este es un espacio intergubernamental. No discutimos en el comité porque debemos hacerlo en la Asamblea. No discutimos en la Asamblea porque no tenemos tiempo. ¿Dónde es el debate? Porque lo próximo, por un problema de carga de trabajo, es consultarnos online. Entonces, por favor, yo pienso que hemos sido flexibles a lo largo de todas estas sesiones y debemos también comprender la voluntad y hacer la lectura correcta de lo que están pidiendo los miembros de este comité. Muchas gracias.
Austria.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I feel the tension in the room, and we all have already expressed our support for dialogue and reflection. In Austria, we have a saying from Hudeln kommende Kinder, which means, or badly translated as if you're too hasty, there will be children. So you have to live with the consequences for a long time. Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, then this decision 7GA6 was referring not to the committee but to the working group. So it should go through the working group, the open-ended working group as well. Maybe we can see also this decision on the screen if that would be possible.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Palestine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, I think that the Secretariat have 2 approaches to respect the operational guidelines. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but at this stage it is clear, my colleague was clear. You can read paragraph 55. The meeting of September is not there. Then if we stick to the legal issue, so this event is not there, it is illegal. So this is not consistent. This is the first thing. Second thing, I agree with our colleague from Austria. We need to see it. It says, paragraph 5, the working group and the committee, both of them. And then having children is a good thing. Thank you.
Poland.
Thank you, Chair. Taking into account discussions of yesterday and concerns expressed today, we would like to suggest to ask legal advisor to share with us his opinion if the committee has the right to suggest such solutions. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Poland, the legal advisor left yesterday afternoon. Yeah. Yes, may I, with the permission of Cyprus?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Après écouter le secrétaire pour l'explication pour la réunion de l'organe d'évaluation en mois de septembre, il dit qu'il donne la décision finale des examens des dossiers. Mais dans ce cas-là, après le dialogue, il peut en effet faire la décision finale dans les rapports. Merci.
Sénégal?
Monsieur le Président, merci. Le Sénégal a toujours été constant pour souhaiter ce dialogue en amont et que donc cette phase expérimentale, si cette phase expérimentale est possible et conforme aux règles, aux directives opérationnelles, nous la soutenons, bien entendu. Merci.
Philippine, with your permission, can I just give again the floor to the Secretariat? Perhaps he has something to share with us, and then we take you if need be.
Mr. Chairperson, and I think I want to assure that the idea is to move towards upstream dialogue, but I want to also assure that we do it in compliance with the rules. Final evaluation is not final decision. Final evaluation is in June, and perhaps I wonder if the chair would ask the evaluation body to speak a little bit about how it does its work. What we might find, because I want to be bound, we need to be bound by the rules of the operational directives. I'm happy to say we can take on this load this year and try to do this, but I'm not convinced that the evaluation body is allowed to change its evaluation after June. And the rule in the evaluation body has always been that the June evaluation that comes out of the June meeting does not get changed in September. And that's the way it's always been. Now, if we can do it, we can try it. I'm okay. I'm just not convinced, and we don't have legal affairs here. But perhaps the evaluation body should speak about it. We have always worked that way. The evaluation body, the rule of the evaluation body, which is the 1 week meeting in June, all evaluations of each criteria are made in that week, and then in September, none of those individual evaluations are changed. And that is how this rule has been applied. Now, if there is flexibility, I don't mind. If there's legal flexibility to that, I'll do it. We can do it. But I'm signaling this concern. Thank you.
Can we hear the chairperson of the evaluation body?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe I can explain very quickly on how we operate. In early March, we have our first meeting with the new members that we are going to elect today. And we share with the new members. We also have a mock evaluation and agree on the timetable and the work to be accomplished within the year. Then immediately we start online evaluation, individual online evaluation of every file from March, April, and May. Then before we meet somewhere in mid-June, we get an overview of what everybody has done so that we meet for the entire week where we discuss every item, every file, criteria by criteria, considering all the opinion of all the 12 members. We are 12 members, 6 experts, and 6 representatives of NGOs. Then we reach a consensus. We review the file, we look at it, and we normally consider the content in the file. Then after that, we task the rapporteur from around July to start drafting the decisions, the recommendations. Then afterwards, they share with us the purpose of meeting in September is to validate the information, whether it is exactly, the report is exactly as what we agreed in June. So we don't normally make any change at all. Now, my worry is if in July is the drafting of the recommendations, and which covers even early part of August, at what point are we going to communicate to the state parties to submit the new information? Because essentially when the nominations are done, in case the file has some technical incompleteness, they are given a chance up to around June the following day to submit any other information. Now this one which is done after, are we going to do the nomination again? And at what point are we going to get the information? Are we going to do individual online examination of the new information before we reach a consensus? So that's why we needed the committee to come up with a mechanism that will enable us to accomplish this work before September. Because in September we validate, then thereafter the rapporteur will do the final draft, which the chair and also the files will look at to ascertain whether this is exactly what we discussed about before these documents are translated and submitted or put on online to everybody now by end of October. It's the time limit which might really affect us, but we are also in support of the dialogue. But depending on what mechanisms we are following, and also putting in mind that we don't contravene any operational directive and procedure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omari. Philippine?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we really thank both the Secretariat and the Chair of the evaluation body for their comments and the sharing of their procedures. And we appreciate the willingness also to try, that's what we heard, and that no one is against dialogue. First of all, to respond to my distinguished colleague from Austria, the decision of the General Assembly was the ad hoc working group and the Intergovernmental Committee. The ad hoc working group has in fact worked on dialogue the last 2 years already. We really believe that the time is now, after everything we've heard the last few days, and that this is not going against the operational directives, that there is flexibility involved. We hear an openness to try. In fact, if we are going to propose amendments, shouldn't we try some kind of mechanism before proposing amendments to ensure that what we will propose will be good, workable? It may not work next year, but we should still try it. Nobody has spoken against this. I think it's about time that it's time to try. And we respectfully submit these amendments, and if there's still a hesitation or opposition, I think nevertheless it's over 2 committees already. This is the 3rd committee. It's time to make a decision, Mr. President, and we would like to have a decision on these amendments. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Curtis.
Again, we have no objection to trying this year, but I do want to know if the evaluation body can change its decision after June, even if we try, as an experiment in order to prepare operational directives to see what works. What I am not clear is if after June the evaluation body is allowed to change the recommendations it has made, and I'm willing to go ask legal affairs when we get back to Paris if it's
Palestine.
Allowed.
No, sorry. Kuwait and then Palestine.
Good morning. We just wanted to give our support to our colleagues from the Philippines. We agree with their decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just there is one point of order first. Would it be possible, there were so many plates raised in order to support the amendment, and we don't see these plates added on the screen. This is the first thing. Second thing, Mr. Curtis, we thank him. He said that it is possible, it is feasible. It will ask them a little bit more work. We understand it. We thank you in advance. And he's wondering whether the evaluation body can change the recommendation in September following the operational directives, legally talking. Well, already legally talking, they can't meet in September. It's not there. It's not there. So already there is a problem. So it couldn't be double approach. It's not possible. So I think at this stage, I'm asking our colleagues in the committee in order to save time, just to raise their plates in order to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We ask the Secretariat to include all the names supporting this amendment. And I'll now ask Netherlands and Azerbaijan to just intervene very shortly. I see also Senegal and Sri Lanka. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I think I have 3 questions. First, the legal advisor. It does sound a bit too simple to say he's not here, so we cannot check with him. I would really want to reflect if there's a possibility to somehow get some legal advice on this, because allow me to use some of his words he used yesterday, which were, this is not compliant, this is a deviation, you do not have the authority, do not have the authority to adjust. We cannot allow to suspend or deviate from procedures. I'm sorry, so this to me sounds like there was a big problem with the things we suggested yesterday. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we heard about, yesterday we heard the co-chair of the ad hoc working group from Algeria who had some serious objections to this. Maybe, I don't know, because there's...
Yeah, let us hear the point of order of Philippines.
Mr. Chairperson, not to interrupt our distinguished colleague from Netherlands, she has a very valid point, but on a point of order, she's talking about the responses to the proposal of the Secretariat yesterday, not this proposal. They're different. That was a proposal changing the referral cycle, changing the cycles. That was clearly in contravention with the rules, because the cycle says that a referral has to come back the following. This is not changing anything. It's not adding, it's not changing. So, I just want to clarify that. It's not this proposal. Thank you.
Point taken.
Okay, point taken.
Point taken. It's just that, by trying to change the rules, it's just, to me, it sounds like we should have some legal advice if we are actually changing anything. And also, I would ask if we can look at Resolution 7, General Assembly 6, because when I look at it, it ends with the request to the informal working group to present its deliberations and recommendations to the General Assembly, which doesn't sound to me like to present an experiment that, so...
With your permission, let me once again give the floor to the Secretariat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. As I said, it's not that we're not willing to test this or that we're not willing to try it. But I do have questions, and I maintain that the September meeting is not illegal. And for reasons I don't want to go into right now, because it's not a meeting of evaluation, but of report writing. Therefore, what we see in this decision is essentially the desire to start the process this year and test it towards next year. We can do that. What I cannot say, and this is where, again, we've been asked for creativity, perhaps this will be a little bit of creativity. What I cannot say yet is that having gone through this process this year, the evaluation body can actually change its decision, its evaluation after June. It may be that the committee next year finds itself again having to confront a report where the evaluation body includes references to clarifications that were made after the meeting in June, but which will not affect its initial evaluation, which would be perhaps somewhat similar to the dual option we faced pending the revision of the operational directives in 2020. I think with that in mind, it's possible to move forward on this issue. Thank you.
I have got quite a long list. Azerbaijan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We just want to support the proposal of Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you. Lebanon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The whole mood is supporting the dialogue, and I think we can be a bit flexible. But now it's becoming a bit confusing. If if we start this dialogue process and the committee, the evaluation body cannot change the decision, then I don't see the point. But I would like to call on all of us to be more flexible. And if we're trying to do that, I ask the evaluation body also to be more flexible and find time to change if this is an experiment and a pilot project, so we can come up with some serious proposition for the GA. Thank you.
Let us hear very quickly Sri Lanka.
We reiterate our decision that we support the Philippines' decision proposal.
Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. Me pregunto si todas las decisiones que hemos tomado en este comité durante esta sesión se han hecho conforme a las reglas, con estricto cumplimiento de las reglas. No quiero una respuesta. Tampoco creo que la presencia del asesor jurídico hubiese dado una respuesta diferente al que nos da la Secretaría, porque lo hemos constatado en toda esta semana. Nos ha resultado muy difícil ver dónde está la diferencia del juez y la parte. En todo caso, por favor, agradeceríamos que pudiera hacer una lectura correcta de la sala en cuanto al apoyo que tiene esta propuesta y basado en el carácter intergubernamental que tiene este comité. Muchas gracias.
Can I, at this juncture, request that we close the debate? And I believe that there is more or less we have the feeling of all members, and we move. There are some practical issues, but basically all committee members are agreeable that we adopt this. Yes, I see that Senegal wishes to intervene.
Oui, Monsieur le Président, j'avais demandé depuis le début à être ajouté sur la liste des pays qui soutiennent. Donc, voilà. Merci.
C'est fait, Sénégal. Okay, are we agreeable that we adopt in the light of what we have heard and what we went through, and of course, and we endeavor to find flexibility. The Secretariat is here, the evaluation body. Of course, what we have discussed here has been sufficiently canvassed. And since this is a feeling of the committee, if we could adopt at this juncture paragraph 14, the new paragraph 14. Armenia?
I'm very sorry, I was just pointing to the Secretary to put our name also as a supporter. Thank you, Mr. Otome.
Thank you. Zambia also wished to add its name. Togo also wished to add its name. Guatemala, Jamaica, Djibouti, adopted. Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the sake of time, may I kindly ask you and our colleagues, I suppose that all the support for paragraph 14 is also for 15 and 16. So maybe this will avoid wasting time. Maybe you can propose to adopt the two other paragraphs also. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, this was in fact my intention. In fact, I take it that paragraph 15 and 16 has the same support, and we, with your permission, we can include all the name of the countries who are supporting these two paragraphs. And if there is any country who feels, who sees that his name is not on the list, just to join in and give us notice? Okay. I take it that paragraph 15 and 16 are duly adopted by the same countries who supported the amendment of paragraph 14. Paragraph 15 adopted Paragraph 16 adopted. We have now an amendment proposed by Japan. Can we now consider the new amendment proposed by Japan, which I understand is paragraph 17 and 18 together, or Japan?
Well,
are there two paragraphs?
Thank you very much, Chairman. We presented paragraph 17 and 18 as an amendment, and that is a reflection of the idea of the two-step approach for the liquidation process, which I was kindly given opportunity to mention several times yesterday. And 17 is about the first step, and we used to have the early harvest package of the reform, including the evaluation process by the time of the GA meeting in 2020.
Thank you, Japan. Palestine, Lebanon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this stage, I think that it is clear, it is in coherence with the proposal in 14, 15, and 16. And I think that it is something that all members yesterday appealed for it. So Palestine supports paragraph 17 and 18. Thank you.
Lebanon.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, in support of 17 and 18. Thank you.
Could we have the names of all those who support the new paragraph 17 and 18, please? For the sake of time. Senegal, Sri Lanka, Guatemala, Poland, Togo, Cyprus, Jamaica, Philippines, Zambia, Armenia, Colombia, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Azerbaijan, of course, together with Palestine, and Djibouti. Therefore, paragraphs 17 and 18 duly adopted. Thank you. Is it of the document? Is its name to be added? Thank you. Yes, Palestine is here. Colombia also is here. Yes.
Thank you. Just a formal remark. If we scroll down to paragraph 14, I think that the title towards a dialogue mechanism should be, yes, here. I think the title towards a dialogue mechanism should arrive right before 14. Because 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, it's about dialogue. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Merci.
Yes, there is now a suggestion that the title, which appeared under paragraph 16, will now be moved upwards, just before paragraph 14. Japan, I believe you have no issue. Neither do other members of the committee. Yes, this also is duly adopted. And can we now move to adopt the whole document? Okay, I take it that we have no objection to adopt as a whole draft document 13-10 as amended. Okay, adopted. Non, ça c'est 14. Non, c'est où là? C'est où là? Tim? We will now move to item 14, establishment of the evaluation body for the 2019 cycle. May I now invite the Secretary, Mrs. Fumiko, to take the floor and to present this item to us.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ici, le comité invité a fait trois choses. Adopter les termes de référence de l'organe d'évaluation que vous pouvez trouver dans l'annexe 1 du document de travail 14. Vous êtes également invité à nommer 12 experts et une ONG. Cette fois-ci, un siège est vacant pour l'expert pour le groupe électoral 1. Un siège est vacant pour l'expert pour le groupe électoral 2. Et un siège est vacant pour ONG pour le groupe électoral 5A. Le comité est aussi invité à renommer les 9 membres élus les années précédentes. Je tiens à préciser que des candidats ont été proposés par des États partis par l'intermédiaire du président de chaque groupe électoral. Selon la décision 9 comme 11, les États sont encouragés à veiller à ce qu'au moins 2 candidatures soient envoyées par le président du groupe électoral et conformément au paragraphe 28 des directives opérationnelles, 3 candidats maximum peuvent être proposés. En ce qui concerne les candidatures reçues, nous avons 2 experts du groupe 1, 3 experts du groupe 2, 3 ONG du groupe 5A. Et finalement, vous pouvez trouver dans l'annexe 2 du document 14 la liste des candidats, les CV des experts et les sites intranet et les demandes d'accréditation des ONG. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Fumiko. Maintenant, je demande aux membres du comité et qu'on procède dans l'ordre que le secrétariat a introduit les travaux, en considérant avant tout les terms of reference et ensuite procéder à la nomination de 3 nouveaux membres sur l'Evaluation Body. And in accordance to our rules of procedure, and in particular to Section B of Rule 13, we will proceed with a vote by secret ballot to choose the 3 new members of the evaluation body. May I suggest that we first proceed to adopt the terms and reference as shown on the screen. We will proceed paragraph by paragraph. Paragraph 1, Palestine.
I think that we need a little bit more time in order to include some amendments in order to be coherent with the decision we just adopted. So may I suggest to suspend the discussion on the terms of references and to go for the elections meanwhile. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I have no issue. The Secretariat has no issue. And Philippine?
Thank you, Chair. We support the suggestion of
Okay,
Palestine.
good then. We are going to suspend consideration of the terms of reference. And I don't know whether a copy can be circulated because it won't appear on the screen, or can it be scrolled? I don't know. You have it? All members, I understand, have a copy, a hard copy of the terms of reference. And if need be, you will be able to ponder over it whilst we move to the vote for election of the 3 new members of the evaluation body. May I now ask the Secretary to explain to us the procedure of voting through secret ballot, which is going to follow now. Madame, please.
Avec plaisir, Monsieur le Président. Le secrétariat va distribuer à tous les membres du comité 3 bulletins, un pour chaque siège vacant et une enveloppe. Chaque membre du comité doit faire un choix pour chacun des 3 sièges vacants et non pas uniquement pour le siège vacant de son groupe électoral. Le candidat ayant reçu le plus grand nombre de votes sera élu. Sur chaque bulletin sont inscrits les noms de tous les candidats pour chaque siège. Tel qu'affiché à l'écran, vous êtes invité à entrer les noms des candidats pour lesquels vous souhaitez voter. Merci de plier les bulletins, les mettre dans l'enveloppe qui vous a été remise et la sceller. S'il vous plaît, n'écrivez rien sur l'enveloppe. L'absence de bulletin dans l'enveloppe est considérée comme une abstention. Les bulletins sur lesquels plus de noms que de sièges vacants ont été enterrés sont considérés comme nuls. Les bulletins ne contenant aucune indication quant à l'intention de votant seront également considérés comme nuls. Après une pause de quelques minutes, nous allons procéder à un appel nominal des membres du comité pour qu'ils puissent déposer leurs enveloppes dans l'urne qui est prêt juste avant le podium et devant vous. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci, Madame la Secrétaire. Est-ce que vous avez des questions sur la procédure palestinienne?
Non, Monsieur le Président, pas sur la procédure, mais c'était une remarque générale, simplement pour rappeler les candidats et surtout les NGOs qui se présentent, qu'ils pensent à communiquer leurs fascicules et leurs activités pour qu'on sache à qui on vote, ainsi que les experts. Nous n'avons pas reçu les CV de tous les experts, nous n'avons pas reçu des fascicules, des explications sur tous les NGO. C'est dommage, mais peut-être le Working Group pourrait penser à quelque chose qui soit similaire à ce qu'on fait dans le 72 Convention. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Est-ce que le secrétariat voudrait intervenir?
Yes, thank you very much. I am asking my colleague to display the Annex 2 of the document 14. I think it is the simplest to show it and confirm it together on the screen. Just bear with us. Here in this annex, we have provided the CVs in case of the experts for electoral group 1 and 2. Kindly scroll down for the electoral group 5A. These parts highlighted in blue, it's in a link, and then you can simply click to go to the accreditation form or website when it is available. And this possibility was also mentioned, I believe, in the document itself. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for this clarification. We need now 2 volunteers who are willing to assume the role of tellers for the elections. Are there any volunteers among the members of the committee? Kazakhstan and Sri Lanka. Gender parity. Could we just have the names for the purpose of recording in due course, please? Sri Lanka and Kazakhstan, please.
Mr. Chairman, you mean the names of persons who are tellers, yes, individuals?
Yes, we will need the name of the individual. You can give it, no problem, but you can start the job in the meantime, no problem.
Should we give it orally or should we submit it somehow to the Secretariat in writing? It's Madame Jazira Kul Mohammed, but we can submit it in writing.
In writing, just to have the exact corrected name, the precise wording. Can I request our 2 tellers to join us on the podium? I take it that all committee members received their ballots and envelopes.
I'm sorry, the tellers have to be on the podium, please.
The tellers need to be with us on the podium, please. Kazakhstan and Sri Lanka, please, join us. For Kazakhstan, we have Mrs. Zahira Kul Muhammad. And for Sri Lanka, could we have the name, please? And for Sri Lanka, we have Mr. Ashoka Sri Korardana. Thank you. Si on est prêt, on peut commencer la procédure de l'élection, s'il vous plaît. Et may I now invite Madame Kubiko to conduct the roll call so as to collect the ballots of each delegation. Madame, please.
Merci beaucoup. Je commence l'appel nominal. Ahameni. À voter. Autriche. À voter. Azerbaïdjan. À voter. Cameroun. À voter. Chine. À voter. Chypre. À voter. Colombie. À voter. Cuba. À voter. Djibouti. À voter. Guatemala. À voter. Jamaïque. À voter. Japon. À voter, Kazakhstan. À voter, Koweït. À voter, Liban. À voter, Maurice. Pays-Bas. À voter, Palestine. À voter, Philippines. À voter, Pologne. À voter, Sénégal. À voter, Sri Lanka. À voter, Togo. À voter, Zambie. À voter, j'appelle pour la deuxième fois, Maurice. À voter, Monsieur le Président. J'ai terminé.
On a collecté tous les enveloppes. Et maintenant, naturellement, on procède au comptage. Entre-temps, on va procéder avec l'item 15. Let us now continue to move forward and tackle our next agenda item, which is item 15. Number of files submitted for the 2018 and 2019 cycles, and number of files that can be treated in the cycles 2020 and 2021. Madam Secretary, the floor is yours to present this item to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. As a practice, this item was inscribed on the agenda of the committee every year, but I should have to provide a small explanation because the committee had already established a ceiling of files for the 2010 cycle in the past committee session. The Secretariat did not include this item on the agenda. Following the same reasoning, it is proposed that the committee examine this issue every 2 years from now on, at sessions falling in even-numbered years. In this way, the committee's workload will be better distributed. This is because the committee examines several items only in odd-numbered years. Examples include the report of the committee to the General Assembly, draft plan for the use of the resources of the ICH Fund, accreditation of and review of accredited NGOs and so on. The document in front of you addresses two issues. On one hand, the experience regarding the files submitted for the 2018 and 19 cycles, and also the number of files that can be treated in the next two cycles, that is 2020 and 2021. Regarding the 2018 and 2019 cycles, the committee, by its decision 10-13 and 11-12, has already set a ceiling of 50 files per year and determined that at least one file per submitting state to be processed over the two cycles. In accordance to those two decisions and the priorities established by paragraph 34 of the operational directives, 51 files are being treated for the 2019 cycle, and 50 files were treated for the current 2018 cycle. For the next year, 51 instead of 50 files were treated. This is because 5 files had the same level of priority. The Secretariat therefore exercised flexibility to include all the files in the same category according to Decision 11-12. The files fall into 4 categories. First category, which is called 0, files from states whose national files could not be treated in 2018 cycle. Treated in 2018, yes, and 32 cases for the 2019 cycle. Files from states with no elements, programs, international assistance, USL candidature, and so on. And there are 3 such files for the 2019 cycle. Concerning the category about multinational 5, there exist 5 cases for the next cycle. And then finally, files from states with the fewest elements inscribed in ascending order. For the 2019 cycle, the ceiling of 51 files representing 51 submitting states is reached with the nomination of Tajikistan, which has 1 element already inscribed. 22 states with 2 or more elements inscribed could not have their files treated, and therefore these files will be treated as a priority for the 2020 cycle. 14 states with 4 or more elements inscribed could not be treated for the 2018 cycle, and they are being treated as priority for the 2019 cycle. It should be noted that in recent years, there is a significant increase in the number of files from submitting states that did not have their files treated in the previous cycle, which is category 0. In the 2019 cycle, there are 32 such files, that is 2/3 of all the files being treated. The table on the screen shows the clear trend of the increasing number of files in category 0 and decreasing number of files in category 3. If this trend continues, the states parties may face a situation where even multinational files could not be treated. This means that the current system of priorities might need to be revised in the near future. Regarding the 2020 and 2021 cycles, I wish to say the following. The committee is called upon to decide the overall number of files to be treated for these 2 cycles. It should be so by keeping in mind the available resources of the committee, the Secretariat, and the evaluation body, including the time available and the collegial nature of the evaluation body. The Secretariat proposes keeping the ceiling of 50 files per cycle. Let me explain why we came to this conclusion. The committee has been asked to pay attention to a broader scope of the implementation of the Convention, which comes with complex and an increased number of issues. These include the current debates related to sustainable development, including ICH in emergencies and in urban context, also ICH in formal and non-formal education. Additionally, the committee is asked to review a number of the Convention mechanisms. that is following 15 years since its adoption. In the current session alone, you came to discuss a number of complex decisions. Furthermore, the Secretariat is facing an increasing workload, which is in line with a growing number of states parties. The Secretariat is supporting the states parties both through the Global Capacity Building Program and through statutory mechanisms. The committee may also consider the capacity and workload of the evaluation body. Each of the 12 members of the body assess each file individually before they begin the process of a joint evaluation to reach consensus on each specific criterion for each file. Under the previous item, the evaluation body chair has already explained this. Experience shows that even if the evaluation body wants to be reinforced with more members, the time available during a cycle is very, very tight. What about the future? Even though the current trend in the number of files to be treated is somewhat worrisome, the committee should carefully consider other reflections that started in parallel before taking steps to change the existing practice. Under item 6, voluntary contributions and other issues, the committee has accepted the offer of the government of Japan to support the global reflection on the listing mechanism of the convention. It is clear that the future of the inscription process will be affected by the outcome of that reflection. Thank you for the floor, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam. May I now open the floor? Is there anybody wishing to take the floor? I see Cyprus.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. J'avais juste une petite question par rapport au nombre de dossiers qui vont être examinés en 2019. Est-ce possible de transférer un dossier qui va être examiné en 2020 et de le mettre en 2019 pour des raisons que peut-être deux dossiers ont le même sujet qui veulent être examinés la même année? Merci.
I think we had a very long discussion about possibilities, whether files could change cycles and the evaluation of files could go from one cycle to another. I think that's been very clearly, it's been a big question at this particular committee meeting. I think the chair was very clear that the evaluation of a file cannot go from one cycle to another. And so therefore, it's not possible until there may be some revisions of operational directives.
Thank you. Can we move now to adopt document 15? Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. No tenemos ninguna enmienda al proyecto de decisión, pero antes de pasar a su examen, quisiéramos señalar también la sensibilidad que genera este tema de los ciclos a los que correspondería un expediente ser evaluado y que yo sé que hoy descansa en el criterio de la Secretaría. Quizás sea un tema que también hay que reflexionar en ánimo de que hay un equilibrio, de cuáles serían los criterios para poder definir si un expediente permanece en un año o pasa a otro ciclo, en ánimo de ese diálogo y esa transparencia, porque se trabaja mucho para presentar un expediente y cuando llegamos y nos dicen que no se verá en el próximo ciclo, que hay que volverlo a presentar, siempre es un poco complejo. Y en ese sentido creo que es un tema del que tendremos que debatir a fin de mejorar el mecanismo, el que establezcamos cada 2 años, cada 1 año, pero con mayor claridad para este tema. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. I take it is not an amendment, but an observation, which is well noted. And may we now move to adopt as a whole document 13, COM 15? I see no objection. Document 13-15 adopted. Thank you. We now move on item 16, sorry. Report of the informal ad hoc open-ended working group. As you will remember, the informal ad hoc working group was first established at the 11th session of the committee in 2016, and it was led by the chairperson of the 12th session, His Excellency Ambassador Lee Bong-hun. At the 12th session of the committee in 2017, we decided to continue this working group and made it open to all interested state parties. The committee also redefined the working group's mandate to cover the 5 main areas as described in decisions 12-13. The committee at that time did not appoint the chairperson of the group. We discussed this issue at the first bureau meeting in March 2018, and since I'm not based at Paris, I felt it was more practical for someone else to assume this role. And after consultation, I'm grateful that Algeria and Philippines kindly agreed to co-chair the group. I would like to thank the 2 co-chairs for having taken on this role with enthusiasm and for having advanced the work nicely. And I would like also to thank the state parties who have participated in and followed the work of the informal and ad hoc open-ended working group attentively throughout the year. And I trust that their fruitful discussion will contribute to the better implementation and sound governance of the 2003 Convention. I believe we can see the document 16, the report, and the draft decision of this item which are prepared by the working group. May I now give the floor to the co-chairs of the working group, whom I understand has joined us on the podium. And may I invite the co-chairs to take the floor, please. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Merci, chers membres du comité, de nous avoir donné la chance d'abord de travailler sur cette question, de nous avoir fait confiance et nous sommes très honorés et heureux aujourd'hui. Je parle à mon nom et aussi au nom de mon coprésident. Nous sommes très honorés ici d'être là et de vous présenter notre rapport. Nous souhaiterions aussi adresser un très chaleureux remerciement à notre président qui aussi nous a fait confiance et nous a guidés à travers tout cet exercice. Donc sans lui, beaucoup de choses n'auraient pas été possibles. Beaucoup d'entre vous ont assisté aux réunions que nous avons tenues à Paris tout au long de cette année. Donc les réunions qui se sont tenues entre la session le 12 com donc à Jeju en République de Corée et cette session là. Nous avons eu donc plusieurs réunions, beaucoup de personnes se sont exprimées. Je ne vais pas vous faire lecture de notre rapport parce que nous sommes déjà pris par le temps. Vous avez tous, j'espère, devant vous le rapport. Nous avons fait plusieurs recommandations, 14 recommandations à ce comité. Nous avons écouté de nombreuses délégations. Nous avons également discuté avec des représentants des ONG, des représentants de l'Evaluation Body. Et honnêtement, nous sommes très contents de la manière dont les discussions se sont passées. Nous aurions aimé peut-être avoir plus d'affluence aux réunions, que les collègues s'expriment un peu plus sur leurs préoccupations pour aider à résoudre des problèmes qui seront évidemment apparus à cette réunion. Toutefois, nous avons réussi à j'espère, a capté l'esprit des discussions et l'esprit de ce que vous souhaitiez qu'on présente ici à cette session. Vous avez tous suivi les discussions autour du dialogue. C'est un des points qui a été le plus discuté au courant de nos réunions, et il y a eu tout ce sentiment d'inévitabilité du dialogue. Les États membres souhaitaient que ce dialogue se fasse, et nous sommes heureux aujourd'hui de voir que la décision a été prise dans ce sens-là, même si elle a été un peu laborieuse à venir, mais décision il y a. Donc je ne vais pas plus tarder donner la parole à mon collègue pour quelques commentaires, et nous sommes à votre disposition pour répondre à vos questions concernant le rapport. Je vous remercie. Henrik.
Merci Algérie. Je demande maintenant aux Philippines d'ajouter sur ce que l'Algérie a dit.
Just very briefly, Mr. Chairperson, distinguished committee members, we'd like to, as my co-chair mentioned, deeply thank you for the confidence you entrusted in our delegations to co-chair the working group this year. We'd like to warmly also thank the Secretariat for their support and presence during our meetings. Also the evaluation body and NGO forum representatives with whom we had very constructive dialogues and discussions with. I'd like to thank my dear co-chair, Mr. Nassim Amir from the Permanent Delegation of Algeria, for his dedication, wise counsel, and efficient teamwork all throughout the year. And of course, all the states parties that attended our 3 meetings in Paris. We did our best to try to reflect the consensus on the key issues that were under our mandate as given to us by Decision 12-13 at last year's committee session. Just in a nutshell, the issues we tackled were regarding resource mobilization, implementation of the governance recommendations, which is the next item on our agenda, reflection of the dialogue mechanism, and accreditation of NGOs, and other matters to facilitate the work of the committee. We had good discussions, proposed 14 recommendations, which we hope can strengthen all of the mechanisms of the convention. As my co-chair mentioned, we're available to answer any questions here, and we hope that we reflected the true spirit of engagement of all states parties in our discussions. With that, Mr. Chairperson, thank you again so much for the confidence and the opportunity you gave to us to contribute to your successful chairmanship of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, and once again, my thanks to the 2 co-chairs for promptly agreeing to share this open-ended ad hoc group, and also my thanks goes to all members who participated during the discussions, and thank you again for this wonderful work. I would perhaps at this juncture like to invite the Secretary for some additional information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Just a small comment that the Secretariat noted that in the draft decision, paragraph 7, it was not indicated whether the group to be extended is indeed once again to be open-ended or not. Committee members are invited to decide its nature before adopting this decision. And I must again, for reasons of resource, take this opportunity to reiterate that as it was the case this year and last year, we will not be able to provide Secretariat services to the group. And this is indeed, as I've said, due to limited human and financial resources of the Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for raising this issue and for this clarification. I now open the floor for any comment or question or observation on the report. Does anybody wish to take the floor? I don't. Yes, Palestine.
Just not to waste time, actually, just to thank our 2 co-chairs and the work that they have done. It was a hard work. Thank you very much. And when we will come to the decision, we have some slight amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Palestine, for. I know that you have participated also in the open-ended committee. And can we therefore move to adopt document 16. Do I take it that we can adopt it Palestine? Have we go paragraph by paragraph, and then whenever you wish to make a slight modification, let us know. Paragraph 1, no objection, adopted. Paragraph 2, no objection, adopted. Paragraph 3, adopted. Paragraph 4, adopted. Paragraph 5, adopted. Paragraph 6, adopted. Paragraph 7, Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, since in the previous decision, 13-10, we adopted a provisional mechanism for dialogue as a pilot phase. So I think that paragraph A, 7A, could be deleted, and in that case, paragraph B become A, and I will add just a small new paragraph B. Okay?
Yes. Are we agreeable? And this is the proposal of Palestine that
maybe if I can give the new B, and afterwards the committee members will look on it. So the small b will be other issues to facilitate the work of the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I see Austria and Zambia wishing to intervene, but there was an issue raised by the Secretariat whether the committee is going to be open-ended. I don't know if anybody wishes to react on that, but let me pass over the floor to Austria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I think we should keep this working group as inclusive as possible, so I would add open-ended. And I think we should not erase the first paragraph just because we have adopted a decision to start this creative experiment. I think we should, or the working group should still further reflect on this dialogue mechanism and also in consultation with the evaluation body. But I don't have any problem with the second amendment.
I have Zambia, Djibouti, Cuba, Jamaica, and Palestine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apparently, what we wanted to say is what our colleagues from Austria have just mentioned. We have no problem in keeping the first 7A in the document. The reason being that we want this document to be, this decision to be as self-contained as possible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Djibouti.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais tout d'abord, dans un premier temps, féliciter le groupe de travail qui ont pu produire ce rapport relatif aux recommandations auxquelles je me souscris totalement. Je voudrais également souligner que nous soutenons le fait d'élargir la composition du groupe de réflexion afin de permettre à tous les États partis de donner leur opinion et de participer activement. Je vous remercie.
Merci, Djibouti. Cuba.
Gracias, señor presidente. Apoyamos la enmienda que ha hecho Palestina, pero también comprendemos la preocupación de la Secretaría, pero es fundamental que de alguna manera acompañe este proceso. Sabemos las dificultades que tiene con el tema del personal y la carga de trabajo, pero para el diálogo es fundamental que la Secretaría también esté presente en este ejercicio y no sea un simple grupo de trabajo que funciona independiente y que no esté al menos presente la Secretaría para poder contribuir a este diálogo. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Cuba. Jamaica.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jamaica supports the suggestion by Austria that the working group remain open-ended.
Thank you, Jamaica. La Palestine.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. En réalité, le nouveau paragraphe B, other issues to facilitate the work of the committee, could include also the dialogue mechanism. So it opens the door for any issue that members would like to raise, knowing that the mechanism, in my opinion, we will try it next year. We will have a first result after the end of the next cycle. So which means it is not in contradiction. Those who think that we need to reflect more on the dialogue mechanism, it will be included in B. So I ask our colleagues just to be flexible on this and to keep it A and new B. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Netherlands.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to support the suggestion by Austria to keep the working group open-ended, and I would also not support the suggestion to delete 7A. You know, since we're talking about sayings, we have a saying in the Netherlands that says, de baby niet met het badwater weggooien. And it's, the meaning is that you shouldn't throw away the baby with the bathing water. And since we made this baby, I think we should really be careful to keep on reflecting on what is the appropriate mechanism. And maybe a suggestion, maybe Palestine and Cuba could agree that we could put A and B, or the A that is deleted and B together and say further reflect on appropriate dialogue mechanisms to strengthen transparency and other issues to facilitate the work of the committee. Thank you.
Let us hear the co-chair. What are their feelings?
Merci, Monsieur le Président, de nous donner la parole. Nous ne souhaitons pas intervenir dans la prise de décision des membres du comité, qui sont souverains bien sûr, mais sur une note juste de conseil, peut-être que le secrétariat, quand il mettra au point la formulation concrète du dialogue, peut-être que le secrétaire aura besoin d'une réunion avec les États membres pour expliquer la teneur des étapes qu'ils vont mettre en place. Et nous pensons que le groupe de travail open-ended est le lieu idoine pour en parler. Donc au lieu de dire réfléchir, peut-être échanger avec le secrétariat sur les étapes futures du dialogue. Et comme ça, on aura au moins une réunion avec le secrétariat et avec les États membres du comité et avec les États observateurs pour un peu comprendre tout le spectre qui sera proposé par le secrétariat pour le dialogue. Donc pour nous, cette phrase, cette recommandation a juste besoin d'être un peu retouchée, mais il y a du sens à se réunir sur la question du dialogue, peut-être pas la réflexion comme on a dit parce que la décision a été adoptée, mais sur la mise en place du dialogue. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
C'est quelque chose de très sensible et ça va aussi dans le sens de Cuba. Et peut-être je vais demander au secrétariat de nous dire ses sentiments.
Yeah, I think that the delegate from Algeria, that last comment makes a lot of sense. Indeed, since, without going into it, it will be experimental, and I reiterate that I'm not convinced that decisions will be able to be, evaluations will be able to be changed. There may have to be a way to figure out on how to work that. It would be important to have some kind of informal gathering with the working group to actually present the proposal once we've been able to look at all the way it goes. Yeah.
J'ai aussi l'Autriche et le Chypre. C'est terminé. Autriche, vous voulez intervenir ou bien c'est...
Well, actually, I only wanted to say that for me, other issues seems too vague, and we don't have now an alternative developed. Like if the experiment does not prove to be successful, and also we want to develop some kind of legal grounds. So that's why I thought it should be included.
Chypre.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Simplement pour appuyer la proposition d'Algérie, et je pense que le secrétariat est tout à fait d'accord pour faire l'échange entre le secrétariat et le groupe de travail. Merci.
Djibouti.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est pour un peu d'abord rappeler que Djibouti avait soutenu le fait d'étendre le mandat du groupe de travail informel, donc il faudra que le nom de Djibouti soit mentionné d'abord. Deuxièmement, je soutiens la proposition du représentant de l'Algérie, qui est en même temps co-président du groupe ad hoc. Merci.
Est-ce qu'on aura Palestine qui va prendre tout en considération et venir avec quelque chose de consensuel, la Palestine?
Absolument, Monsieur le Président. Et je remercie tous les intervenants et notre collègue de l'Algérie. En effet, il serait utile de faire un échange avec le secrétariat et l'organe d'évaluation pour examiner la mise en œuvre de la phase expérimentale du mécanisme de dialogue, ainsi que toute autre question qui pourrait faciliter le travail du comité. Cependant, pour le open-ended, pour le groupe de travail, nous aussi, nous soutenons que ça soit ouvert. Donc, si vous voulez, on peut maintenant amender le petit A pour devenir échanger avec le secrétariat et l'organe d'évaluation. Échanger avec le secrétariat et l'organe d'évaluation sur la mise en œuvre du mécanisme de dialogue expérimental in the current cycle, how do they say it in French, dans le... well...
Pas nécessaire que vous mentionniez ça.
Sorry?
Laissez ça comme ça même. There's no need to mention it as such.
Okay, we don't mention it. So just la mise en œuvre du mécanisme de dialogue expérimental, ainsi que toute autre question pour faciliter le travail, ainsi que toute autre question pour faciliter le travail du comité.
C'est tout?
C'est tout.
Oh, ouais.
Je pense que c'est le sens aussi que tous les collègues étaient d'accord avec. Je ne sais pas si ça pose un problème pour quelqu'un. Si quelqu'un peut améliorer le texte, bienvenue. Mais l'idée est là. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Et le fait que ce soit open-ended, est-ce que ça doit apparaître quelque part? Ok, très bien. Et Lebanon?
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to support the open-ended nature of the ad hoc group, please.
Thank you. Can we now agree on the draft? Are we ready with exact appellation? Djibouti, vous voulez mentionner quelque chose encore?
Président, c'est pas, Monsieur le Président, merci, c'est pas un grand problème, c'est le fait que j'avais demandé qu'on ajoute le nom de Djibouti dans le point 7, les pays qui soutiennent ce point 7. Et c'est la troisième fois que je demande et je ne vois pas Djibouti.
Oh, c'est là apparemment. Ça a été mis. Merci beaucoup de nous rappeler encore une fois. Et Palestine, China first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry, I have to say that there is kind of different understanding here between the proposal by the distinguished delegation of Palestine and the delegation of Austria, because the exchange with the secretary and the evaluation body doesn't necessarily mean that the ad hoc working group, all the interested parties would like to participate in the working group would all involved in this exchange progress. That's different kind of process here. So I'm not quite sure which approach we should take. But actually, we do agree that we would keep the working group open-ended. Thank you.
Yes, Netherlands.
I'm wondering, thank you, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I'm wondering if it's possible to add in the first paragraph, as it is now, to add a reference to that there's a reflection needed on alternatives to the experimental dialogue mechanism, as we have. I hear my.
Let us hear Mr. Curtis. Perhaps he can clarify something.
Thank you. I think I understand there's a lot of concerns because this issue of dialogue is highly sensitive. I remind that the working group is informal, that nothing gets decided in the working group that cannot come through a formal working group or a committee session or a general assembly. So these discussions are informal. They are not mandated to make decisions on its own, but only to present them back to the committee or the informal or a general assembly. In that sense, and I take note of, if I may, the comment from China, once it's decided that it's open-ended, I understand that means any state party may attend any of the meetings that this group would organize. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis, for this clarification. I come back to Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to address the concerns of our colleague from Netherlands, actually, we will continue the reflection, but at this stage, we proposed something. The committee adopted a mechanism. It is experimental. So the reflection will continue after having experimented this phase. After that, we will continue the reflection following the results, whether it was satisfying or not, whether it was useful or useless. So this is the first thing. Second thing, it is true, I agree with the Secretariat. This is an informal working group. And actually this exchange, it is a form of reflection on the implementation, and when we talk about the implementation, we will talk about the mechanism itself. So nevertheless, for the moment in French, the amendment is complete for paragraph A, while in English it is not. So we need, the end, yes, that's it. Any other issues to facilitate the work for the committee?
Thank you.
So now it is okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
China and Netherlands reconfronted with the explanation, and can we now move to approve the paragraph 7 as redrafted? No objection. Adopted. Paragraph 8. No objection. Adopted. Can we now move to adopt draft decision 3rd, come 15, 13, come 16 as amended? Adopted. Thank you very much. Can we now proceed with item? Oh, I believe that we are ready with the issue regarding election has now been cleared. We move back to paragraph 15. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Non, l'élection. Okay, thank you. Is it 15 or 14? 14. Sorry, we move back to item 14. Yes, when we move back to item 14, let us first of all consider the term of reference. I hope that by now you have been able to have a look at it. And Palestine suggested that we do some, we include something following what we have decided earlier. Can I request that the terms of reference be put on the screens? We move to adopt paragraph by paragraph. Paragraph 1. No change. Adopted. Paragraph 2. No objection. Adopted. Paragraph 3. No issue. Adopted. Paragraph 4. Okay. Adopted. Paragraph 5. Duly adopted. Thank you. Paragraph 6. Yes, sorry, Philippine. You are with paragraph 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We'd like to propose a new paragraph 6, which would read as follows, and to be consistent with our decision on item 10. It would read as follows: shall conduct a provisional dialogue with submitting states parties during the evaluation process in accordance with Decision 13-10 and Decision 7-GA6. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. This is, again, just to track the decisions we've made on dialogue. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Secretary wishes to take the floor. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. May I understand by quoting Decision 13-10 that this term is on experimental basis, and therefore would it be possible to add the word after shall conduct, comma, on an experimental basis? Thank you.
Are we agreeable, Palestine and Philippines? Yes, okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, absolutely.
This is duly added okay, done on both versions. Palestine?
No, it was just to say that we agree on the amendment presented by the Secretariat. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can we therefore move to adopt paragraph 6? Austria.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I don't, no worries, I don't oppose to this. I just wanted to regret again that as the colleagues from the Netherlands demanded, the legal advisor was not consulted on this overall decisions, actually. Thank you.
Okay. Do we adopt it? Thank you. New paragraph 7. Adopted. Okay. The paragraph, is it part of paragraph 7? Yes. Can we now adopt? Is it? I see that after paragraph 7, there is the following. Once adopted by the committee, the members of the evaluation body shall act impartially in the interest of all state parties and the convention. This also, I believe there is no issue to adopting it. Okay, this part is duly adopted. Now, we need to adopt Annex 1 as a whole. No objection. Duly adopted. Thank you. Yes, Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a small remark, since we are talking about the evaluation body and the terms of reference for the evaluation body. Everybody knows that the evaluation body was composed on experimental basis, and it is composed up till now out of 12 members, 6 and 6. And we understood that in the procedure, the 12 members need to give their recommendation on each criterion, which means we have in each file, not urgency, normal files, 5 criteria, and 50 files. It makes, well, around 250. I don't know the exact number. Maybe the Secretariat can give us the exact number of criteria to be examined. And then they need to reach a consensus on each criterion. I think that that's why I added also other issues that may facilitate the work of the committee, but it is important to reconsider the composition of the evaluation body. Maybe the size could be diminished. And well, in any case, I think that this is one of the other issues that the working group need to look into. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I take it is an observation. Can we now continue with the next item, which was the election? And I proceed now to announce that the counting of ballots concerning the new members of the evaluation body has been completed. 24 committee members were present and voted. The following, the candidates received votes as follows. Electoral Group 1, seat for 1 expert, Stravrula Fotopoulou from Greece, received 6 votes. Pierre Luigi Petrillo from Italy received 18 votes and is elected. Congratulations. Electoral Group 2, seat for 1 expert, Donatas Prandisoskas, sorry for the pronunciation, received 9 votes. Milicia Nikolic from Montenegro received 5 votes. And Lubika Volanska from Slovakia received 10 votes and is duly elected. And congratulations again to Slovakia. Electoral Group 5A, seat for 1 accredited NGO, Amis du Patrimoine de Madagascar received 6 votes. Association pour la sauvegarde des masques, I don't know from which country this is. Burkina Faso, I understand, received 14 votes. And Mali Cultural Heritage Agency received 4 votes, which means that Association pour la sauvegarde des masques from Burkina Faso is duly elected. Bravo, Burkina Faso. We now have the names of the 3 new members of the evaluation body, which I once again congratulate, and at the same time thank all other candidates who took part in this exercise. Before we proceed with adoption of the draft decision, I would once again like to invite the Secretariat for some additional information on the draft decision. Madame, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Conformément au paragraphe 28 des directives opérationnelles, le comité est invité à renouveler chaque année 3 membres de l'organe d'évaluation. Le mandat des membres ne doit pas dépasser 4 ans. Lorsque le comité a créé à sa 9e session en 2014 le premier organe d'évaluation, un système spécifique de rotation a été mis en place pour une durée de 4 ans. Selon ce système, la durée de mandat de chacun des membres varie de 1 à 4 ans de manière à assurer une représentation géographique équitable et rendant vacants 3 sièges chaque année. Ce système de rotation s'est achevé avec l'organe d'évaluation qui a exercé ses fonctions pendant le cycle 2018. Pour les prochains cycles, chaque membre sera de la même manière élu pour un mandat de 4 ans. Le paragraphe 5 du projet de décision est formulé de sorte à vous tenir informés et à consigner par écrit la date à laquelle certains sièges deviennent vacants. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci, Madame, pour cette clarification. Est-ce que vous avez des commentaires? Or, do you have any question or comment? In that case, I believe we are ready to proceed with the adoption of the draft decision.
Can you ask if it's Mr. or Miss that person?
Can we have the draft decision, please, on the screen? C'est pas pareil. On adopte paragraphe par paragraphe. Paragraphe 1. Pas d'objection. Adopté. Paragraphe 2. Adopté. Paragraphe 3. Adopté. Paragraphe 4. Dûment adopté. Pour paragraphe 5. Pas de souci, on peut adopter? Dûment adopté. Maintenant, on arrive au paragraphe 6. Et maintenant, on a inclus les membres qu'on vient d'élire. Les 3 membres qu'on vient d'élire apparaissent maintenant dans paragraphe 6. Et je vais donc demander à ce qu'on adopte paragraphe 6, si vous n'avez pas d'objection. OK, dûment approuvé. Alors, maintenant, on va procéder à l'adoption de la décision 13 comme 14, globalement. Vous n'avez pas d'objection? La décision 13 comme 14, dûment adoptée. Merci beaucoup. Encore une fois, je félicite les nouveaux membres du bureau d'évaluation et tout en remerciant les membres qui siègent toujours sur ce comité où nous savons qu'il y a un travail très important, mais aussi un peu ingrat peut-être à faire. Et avant de... Naturellement, au nom du comité, je vous souhaite bon courage pour ce travail. Mais avant de clore cet item, je vais donner la parole au secrétariat pour quelques clarifications et informations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, and I'm sorry again to take the floor, but I just sense there's some misapprehension about the issue of the experimental, or some unease among some states about the experimental approach to the upstream dialogue as was proposed. I wish to reassure that we believe that the decision in its current form can be implemented without breaking the rules. However, it may need to come to a final decision at the committee rather than through the evaluation body, meaning we may be faced, which happened last year, with a dual option scenario in order to apply this procedure and make it legal, fully compliant. I also insist that the September meeting never has been illegal, and I just want to reassure that the Secretariat will work hard to make sure that we move ahead with this dialogue, upstream dialogue process. It is the clear will of the room, and at the same time, we will ensure that all the rules of the operational directives under the mandate of the General Assembly are respected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for those reconforting remarks. And can we now, with your permission, move to item 7, follow-up on the implementation of the relevant recommendations of the open-ended working group on the governance procedures and working methods of the governing bodies of Unesco. This item is included at the request of the committee last year. And let me now give the floor to Mr. Curtis, who will very quickly lead us on this item. Mr. Curtis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. This item is indeed included on the agenda of this session with reference to Decision 12-16, which was taken by the committee last year. The work of UNESCO's house-wide open-ended working group on governance, procedures and working methods of the governing bodies of UNESCO was already discussed at the 12th session of the committee and at the 7th session of the General Assembly of States Parties of our convention in June this year. Concerning the 12th session of the committee, we discussed this issue. We focused on recommendation 107 that specifically addressed the 2003 convention, which was the need to strengthen decision-making procedures and credibility of the committee, taking due note of the ad hoc working group established to address these issues. And then during the 7GA, based on the deliberations of the 12th session of the committee, the Secretariat prepared a table that contained 26 recommendations of direct relevance to the 2003 convention. Each recommendation had a description of their situations at that time. These recommendations were analyzed in terms of 4 categories: closed, ongoing, action proposed, and action required by states parties. The Assembly noted that there were 2 parallel processes which are linked to the issue of governance. One that was prompted by Resolution 6GA 11 on harmonizing the rules of procedure of the different culture conventions of UNESCO, and the other concerning the recommendations of the open-ended working group on governance. This is particularly true because some of the recommendations of the open-ended working group on governance call for harmonization of the rules and procedures of the international and intergovernmental bodies of UNESCO. Facing a situation of two parallel processes, the General Assembly considered that these two issues could not be discussed or should not be discussed in isolation, and therefore the Assembly adopted Resolution 7GA13 and decided to consider the amendments to the rules of procedure of the General Assembly within the framework of the recommendations of the open-ended working group in order to produce a single set of consolidated amendments. The Assembly also called upon the culture sector in facilitating the process by providing a matrix containing the consolidated amendments to the rules of procedure of the above-mentioned bodies. And so following the 7th session of the General Assembly, the Culture Convention's Liaison Group discussed the Resolution 7GA13 and decided on necessary steps for the preparation of the matrix. It is also worth mentioning that for the publication of the 2018 edition of the basic texts, the Secretariat ensured that gender-neutral language was used throughout the publication. This is according to Recommendation 73 and Resolution 7GA12. So the document this time presents not only the status of recommendations as presented to the General Assembly, but also the progress made since the 7th session of the General Assembly in implementing them. The draft decision suggests that the committee takes note of the status of the recommendations regarding the 2003 Convention, as well as the ongoing efforts of the culture sector in harmonizing the rules of procedure of the governing bodies of the 6 culture conventions. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for this very useful information. I will now open the floor. I see Philippine, who wishes to intervene. Philippine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'd like to congratulate the Secretariat for their excellent work on this item. We have closely followed and supported over the years. In particular, we welcome the publication of the basic text with gender-neutral language. And regarding Recommendation 67 on harmonization of the composition of the Bureau, as Mr. Curtis flagged, we would be in favor of amending the rules of procedure of the committee at a future date at the General Assembly. We have a slight technical amendment to the draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other member wishing to intervene? In that case, let us move to amend document 17 in the light of the observation of Philippine. We adopt paragraph by paragraph. Paragraph 1, no objection, adopted. Paragraph 2, adopted. Paragraph 3, adopted. Paragraph 4, adopted. Paragraph 5, adopted. Sorry. Paragraph 6, adopted. Yes, Philippine. We are in paragraph 6 or 7?
7.
Yes. Now, at paragraph 7, Philippines.
Yes, yes, Mr. Chairman, we just suggest to replace the words "the open-ended working group" with "General Conference 39C/Resolution 87." This being the open-ended working group has in a way fulfilled its mandate, and these recommendations of that working group were already adopted by the 39th General Conference.
Okay, the Secretariat has no issue on that. Does any member of the committee wish to intervene? Okay, there is no issue, which means that paragraph 7, as amended, duly adopted. Thank you. Now we move to adopt draft decision 13-17 as a whole with the amendment adopted. Okay, 13-17 as amended, adopted. Thank you very much. We move now on paragraph 18, date and venue of the 14th committee meeting. We have to decide on the date and venue of the 14th session of the committee in 2019. I believe that this is something very important, and we are having to have this item just before we break for lunch, and this gives us, in fact, a very avant-goût of the lunch. We refer to document 18 and its corresponding draft decision for your reference. And I believe that, as myself, everybody is very delighted that Colombia has gracefully come forward to host the next session. And perhaps, and I now invite the delegation from Colombia. Who'd like to
extend that invitation directly to the committee?
To extend that invitation directly to the committee? Colombia?
Gracias, señor presidente. En primer lugar, quisiéramos invitar a los países del GRULAC, a Santa Lucía, Panamá, México, Belice, Cuba, Argentina, Guatemala, Panamá, El Salvador, Jamaica, a que nos acompañaran en este momento, teniendo en cuenta que es la primera vez que América Latina va a ser la sede del Comité de Patrimonio Mundial. Aprovechar para agradecerle a Mauricio por habernos invitado a esta isla increíble, donde si bien no hemos tenido la posibilidad de recorrerla como hubiéramos querido, sospechamos cómo pueden llegar a ser sus paisajes. Agradecemos también al comité y a aquellos países que nos han apoyado en esta candidatura, al Crespial, a la Unesco y en particular también a la Alcaldía de Bogotá en nuestro país. Decirles que Colombia ha pasado en su historia por momentos difíciles y en esos momentos muchas veces nos hemos refugiado en nuestro patrimonio inmaterial. A pesar de las dificultades, hemos tenido la posibilidad de acudir a la sabiduría de los palabreros guayú en La Guajira o al saber ancestral de los jaguares del Yurupari en Baupés. Asimismo también hemos podido seguir celebrando el Carnaval de Barranquilla o el Carnaval de Negros y Blancos o en San Pacho. Y asimismo también, a pesar de las dificultades en nuestro trabajo, siempre hemos tenido tiempo para escuchar el vallenato o para recordar que en los llanos orientales los vaqueros les cantan a las vacas. Por todo esto también este comité y esta convención nos ha enseñado que ese patrimonio no solamente es de los colombianos, sino que desde todos ustedes, aquellos 150 países que conforman este comité. Asimismo, por estas razones, entonces, los invitamos a Colombia, a nuestro país, para que tengan la posibilidad de hacer parte de este patrimonio que nos hace colombianos, pero también nos hace parte de todos ustedes, de toda esta gran familia que conforma este comité. Esperamos que a pesar de las enmiendas y puntos de orden también, tengamos tiempo para celebrar y para tener la posibilidad de reunidos recordar lo maravillosa que es esta convención y este comité. Finalmente, voy a darle la posibilidad a nuestra ministra de Cultura, Carmen Vázquez, que si bien no pudo estar con nosotros ha mandado un video en donde va a terminar de invitarlos a ustedes a nuestro país, y a la secretaria de Cultura de la ciudad de Bogotá, María Claudia López, que anunciamos de antemano será nuestra chairperson. Así que muchas gracias, me alegra profundamente dar este anuncio, no tan solo, sino también acompañado.
Tiene un ejército atrás. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, congratulations, Colombia, and I feel that it is a whole group which is inviting us to be with you next December in Bogota. Dear members, we have the proposal from Colombia, who is ready to host the 14th session, and I suggest that we accept this kind offer by acclamation. Thank you very much, and I would like to take this excellent opportunity to thank Colombia and to say how pleased we are
¿Podríamos pasar
with that.
el video?
With that, now that we have decided the venue, we'll have to decide on the date, and I invite the secretary to provide to us some information on that score.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Rule 4.1 of the Rules of Procedure stipulates that the committee shall determine at each session, in consultation with the Director General, the date and place of the next session. I have managed to confirm with the Director General and the authorities of Colombia that the 14th session can be held from the 9th to the 14th of December in 2019. The Secretariat has amended the draft decision accordingly, and my team, I believe, is displaying it now on the screen. Please bear with us a minute.
Has it been included?
Yes.
We have now document 18. I believe there is no objection that Cyprus wish to intervene.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est simplement pour clarifier, être sûr, et je pense que le secrétariat il a déjà regardé ça, au niveau des dates du 9 au 14 décembre, qui ne coïncident pas avec les autres réunions, surtout de la Convention de 1954 et du deuxième protocole. Merci.
Yes,
Thank you
Secretary is
indeed.
going to reassure you.
Indeed, we thank also the future host country of Colombia for their flexibility in working with us to ensure that we could find a date that did not conflict with any of the previous meetings, particularly the 13th meeting of the high contracting parties to the 1954 convention, which will be on 2nd of December, the 8th meeting of the parties to the second protocol to the Hague Convention on the 3rd and 4th December, the 14th meeting of the Committee for the Protection of Cultural Property in the event of armed conflict from 4 to 6 December, and of course the 13th session of the Intergovernmental Committee of the 2005 Convention, which is still deciding whether it will be hosted in December, but is, I believe, proposing to the committee to postpone that to February to allow precisely enough time between the various culture conventions. And again, we thank Colombia for their flexibility in allowing these dates to be found. Thank you.
And before I ask the committee to adopt draft decision 13-18, which appears now on the screen, I think that it is also good that I thank Armenia, who has voluntarily agreed that next year's session will be in Colombia, and I wish that this also be put on record. So that thank you, Armenia, for that effort. You have, yes, Armenia?
Our sincere congratulations to our distinguished friends from Colombia, but our invitation to visit our beautiful country still remains. So thank you very much.
My suitcase is ready. We can go straight away. May I now ask the committee that we adopt document 13-18 as shown on the screen. No objection. Adopted. Congratulations once again. And we are looking forward to the 14th session of the committee. And may I now invite each and every one to watch a small video for us to have an avant-goût of Colombia session next December.
Nos enorgullece haber sido escogido como el país que acogerá el próximo Comité Intergubernamental de Salvaguardia del Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial. Esta es una decisión histórica porque es la primera vez que Latinoamérica será epicentro de la Convención de 2003. Los colombianos tenemos el orgullo de contar con 21 manifestaciones inscritas en la lista representativa de Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial de la Nación, de las cuales 8 están inscritas en la lista representativa de Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial de la Humanidad y 2 en la lista de Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial que requieren medidas urgentes de salvaguardia. En 2019, Colombia los recibirá para intercambiar experiencias y nutrir los debates que nos convocan en esta convención. Será un orgullo compartir nuestra diversidad y aprendizajes. Colombia es su sede en este encuentro mundial porque la cultura es la esencia de un país que se transforma desde los territorios.
El ocaso de una hermosa tarde el creador pintó de rojo una tierra y sobre ella hizo algo semejante al amor que en su corazón entierra.
Bogotá es una ciudad innovadora, viva, en constante movimiento, en donde toda la rica diversidad cultural de Colombia se muestra en su esplendor. Promovemos procesos de identificación del patrimonio inmaterial desde las comunidades y así avanzamos de manera decidida en implementar un sistema de participación en cultura incluyente y sostenible. El próximo año estarán 2.600 metros más cerca de las estrellas, pero a solo centímetros de nuestro rico y diverso patrimonio inmaterial.
La cultura es de todos. Gobierno de Colombia.
Thank you again, Colombia. Please, ladies and gentlemen, before we leave the room, I would like to remind you that we have 1 hour lunch break today. The Secretariat will distribute the list of decisions adopted up to the morning session of today. Committee members will find on their tables a printed copy of the decision on their return from lunch at 1:30 p.m. As we have decided this year, it is the responsibility of the rapporteur to validate all the decisions of the 13th session of the committee, including those that will be adopted in the afternoon. Then, the Secretariat will publish the decision in their final version by the end of the year. I will now give the floor to the Secretary of the Convention to make some practical announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The Secretariat will shortly send a satisfaction survey to your emails. We would greatly appreciate if you can complete it in a timely manner, which helps us improve the organization of the statutory meetings of the Convention. The survey then will be available on the webpage of the 13Com. I would also like to inform you that the recordings of the meeting up to Thursday's session are already available online on the page of the 13Com. The rest of the session's recording will also be published in the coming week. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Therefore, I suspend the session and we start at 1:30 p.m. sharp. Thank you very much. Bon appétit.